Let's move on to our fourth and final main topic today. And our fourth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Mario. And Mario writes, huge fan. Thank you, Mario. Appreciate that. Now that so many past characters are starting to be confirmed, at least Doc Ock and Electro, that is true, for Spider-Man 3, could they use the same method that they are using to bring these characters in, to bring Fox characters in with at least some of the Fox cast into the MCU, talking about X-Men? They said they have no plans for them for the next 5 years, but how many crazy things have changed this year? Wouldn't it be a giant window of convenient opportunity to miss to bring them in? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And look, you're not the only person to be asking this right now. I've had a lot of people, ever since the whole stuff about Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro, which I'm not going to lie to you guys, that completely turned my world upside down. Like that, Jamie Foxx coming back as Electro fundamentally changed my perception about how the world works. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's that big of a surprise to me. But since then, what else have we seen? You know, we've seen that Melina is coming back as Doc Ock. We've heard multiple reports from multiple sources that, you know, we're going to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back. To what degree and how big of a degree, we don't know. We don't know yet how big of a degree that'll be. So it has brought up a conversation I've seen all over the place starting to happen. If they're bringing back in old Spider-Man characters from other universes and other iterations, could they possibly do the same thing with X-Men? Could they do it? Now, let me address this first. Mario, you brought up the point, accurately so, that when initially asked about, you know, what are you going to do with X-Men, Kevin Feige? What are you going to do with Fantastic Four? When are we going to see Fantastic Four and X-Men? Are they going to be in the new Avengers movie? Are they going to be in Infinity War? You know, all that kind of stuff. Kevin Feige, you're right, said, listen, I've already got my plans. I've got a 5-year roadmap already planned out, and I'm not going to change that 5-year roadmap. And a lot of people said, oh, yes, he will. You can't wait on bringing in X-Men. But here's the thing. Remember this. That countdown clock of that 5-year plan, that actually was started on December of 2017. I know it feels weird, but it was that long ago. News first came out, and I still remember where I was. I was in a theater getting ready to watch a press screening, and I can't remember which movie it was. And it was a few minutes before the movie was starting, so I had my phone out, and I saw it come across my newsfeed on my phone. Disney is to buy Fox. And I'll never forget that. That was December of 2017. That's not when it was finalized, but that's when the deal became public. 2017, that was 3 years ago. And it feels like it was yesterday. It absolutely feels like it was yesterday. But it was 3 years ago that all happened, that announcement came out. So when Kevin Feige said, hey, listen, I found out about it like everybody else did. I found out about it in the news, but I've already got a 5-year plan laid out. Guess what? We're only 2 years away from the end of that 5-year plan. Do you think we're going to get X-Men in the next 2 years? Nope, he's already got all of his stuff laid out for the next 2 years. So it looks like he's going to stick to exactly what he said, 5-year plan, and then he'll get to They just announced Fantastic Four. You know that movie's more than 2 years away from hitting theaters, if there are theaters by the time it comes out. So it looks like he is sticking to that plan. But anyway, let's get back to the main part of this, though. Could Marvel adopt the same kind of principle and that same kind of philosophy of taking characters from former iterations of a particular movie property and bring them into the MCU? Could they do that? Could we see Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine? Could we see Sir Patrick Stewart back as Professor X? Or, you know, the younger versions of Magneto? Could we see Fassbender come back to play Magneto, or Ian McKellen back in? I mean, could any of that stuff happen? I'll say this. In this new upside down world where Jamie Foxx is coming back to play Electro, and of course where Ben Affleck is coming back to play Batman, anything is possible. Anything is possible. However, I don't think that's going to be the case here. And here's why I don't think that's going to be the case. There are a number of significant differences between the situation of the Spider-Man stuff and the X-Men stuff. One of those situations is Marvel doesn't really have control over the Spider-Man character. You know, Kevin Feige has said himself that a lot of this crossover stuff we're about to get with Spider-Man, with former Spider-Man, that all stuff came from Sony. Like, that's what Sony wanted to do. And I think it fits in with what Kevin Feige is doing with the MCU overall. So why not? They're going to make it work. They're going to make it go. On top of that, the Spider-Man franchise was hugely successful. Like, I think even Spider-Man 3 with Emo Spider-Man, we all remember that. We don't want to, but we do. You didn't like seeing me do that, did you? Caused bad memories, didn't it? Too bad. Anyway, even that movie, I think they made like $1 billion. They made an awful lot of money, right? It was a hugely successful thing. And there's that. Now with the X-Men has never been a majorly huge blockbuster event types of thing. Like none of the X-Men movies ever made $1 billion. None of the X-Men movies ever came close to making $1 billion. And it was truly a franchise that ran its course. It was truly a franchise that ran its course. And to a lot of people kind of ended on a bit of a sputter, depending on who you ask, I suppose. Hugh Jackman would probably be the poster child of that entire. I think it's fair to say that, isn't it? Isn't it fair to say that if you had to pick one person that was kind of the face of that entire era of X-Men movies, it's Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, right? That's fair to say. But he's never coming back. He's never coming back. He is done with the, 5-hour-a-day workouts and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's diet that he gave him to do, and he's done with all that. He said he's done. I still think there is a possibility he pops up as a cameo, as a quick, fun cameo in a Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds. I still think that's a possibility. But as far as him returning, and if he's not returning, I don't really see the point. I really don't see the point. It could be fun. It could be interesting. But does it really fit into the way Kevin Feige does business? And I don't think it is. And so for those reasons and others, I'm going to say I doubt that we will see any of the original X-Men characters come in. I personally think Kevin Feige is going to restart the X-Men universe from scratch. He's going to start the brand new era of X-Men with a totally clean slate. But we live in a world where Jamie Foxx is back as Electro, which means we can't count anything out. Don't take it to the bank. I'm just saying I personally feel like I don't think we're going to see any of those original X-Men characters back. I think its era is done. Its time has passed. It had a very, very long run. A lot of movies that they did, most of them really good, some of them not so much, but the era is gone. And I think it's time for Kevin Feige to launch anew. Not to mention the very fact that they're doing this sort of thing with Spider-Man would kind of feel like they're just doing it again with X-Men if they didn't. So I would almost kind of suggest that the fact that they're doing that with the Spider-Man property almost makes it less likely that they would just repeat the same thing with the X-Men property. Know what I'm saying? But again, we live in strange times, my friend. Strange times. Let's see how all this works out. Okay, guys.